Hey Dragonfly Swarm, so Genshin Impact is a game that has never really had a necessary established meta in that there are top tier characters and not so top tier characters, but at the end of the day they can all get the job done and clear most of, if not all of the game's content. And since its release exactly 1 year ago, this is how Genshin has always been. But yeah, there's a but. That's all changing. Recently, and especially since Inazuma came out, we've been seeing a lot of focus on shifting metas to favor new characters, while also inadvertently favoring characters similar to those new characters, which has begun a natural cycle of meta shifts that are becoming more and more noticeable as more characters come out. And that sounds really complicated, but if you think about it, it's only natural that this is happening. MihoYo has to begin broadening the difficulties that Genshin Impact offers, and with nearly half 100 characters in the game and counting, they'll have to continue to dramatically emphasize new metas in order to keep the game's life cycle long. For example, what we're seeing in present-day Genshin Impact is subtle shifts to which characters perform best based on the new characters. When Ayaka and Yoimiya came out, the new Spiral Abyss heavily favored freeze teams and cryo and pyro damage. When Raiden came out, the game had already somewhat shifted into a meta that favored fast-paced gameplay and more directly energy recharge. And now that we're on the cusp of Kokomi's release, Cocopium Inhalers Unite, there's been a crazy new shift that practically forces you to use healers like Kokomi, such as Jean and Chi-Chi, and that's the first major point I want to get into. Kokomi's new meta has been our first glimpse of such a massive Genshin Impact change since Zhongli came out, and MihoYo accommodated him by making shields a must-have in Genshin's difficult content. And yeah, since then we've seen changes in the viability of characters, but not to such a dramatic extent as we're currently seeing. Kokomi's introduction is already starting with a bang, as we're introduced to a new corrosion mechanic in Spiral Abyss that essentially causes all party members to lose HP per second, and this means a couple of things on top of being pure nightmare fuel. Number 1, you cannot hide behind shields to avoid this, and number 2, the majority of powerful healers in the game are much less effective now because they can only heal the active party member, while all party members are taking the damage. And number 3, the nightmare fuel thing times 2. This means that healers such as Chi-Chi, Jean, that one other Hydro Catalyst, and yes, Mermaid Lady Kokomi are perfect for the Spiral Abyss, because they actually can heal all party members at the same time. But that's not the scariest part about this whole thing. The scary part is the extent to which this new meta will go. You see, what I didn't mention earlier is that it's not just content like the Spiral Abyss that changes when new characters come out. It's also the game itself. For example, again, when Ayaka and Yoimiya came out, Inazuma came out, obviously, with a bunch of electro mobs. This made both of these characters objectively better to use in Inazuma than other previously viable main DPS characters because of reaction damage. Also, not to mention, there's a whole artifact domain tailor-made for these two DPS legends. Yes, Yoimiya is a legend, and you cannot tell me otherwise. And with the Raiden Shogun, a whole bunch of artifact sets, inadvertent buffs to energy recharges viability, etc. came out with her as well, not just Spiral Abyss changes. So with Kokomi and with what we've already seen as to how MihoYo will challenge us to use characters like her, we're probably going to see some things similar to corrosion in all areas of Genshin Impact's new content. Remember, Inazuma hasn't finished yet. We still have a whole island that they've yet to release, and I'd say it's not unfair to assume it'll be out in the next patch given their pacing of content. It could be corrosive fog, environmental hazards such as sheer heat/cold that ignore shields, new enemies or damage sources that ignore shields or reduce your defense. It could be anything. But the only realistic way for MihoYo to encourage a healer meta, as we've seen they've already started doing, is basically just to make the game more difficult, and that's my entire point here. With DPS character metas, it's as simple as making new enemies or content that favors a certain type of DPS. But with shielders and healers, the game itself has to change on a fundamental level in order to promote the use of these types of characters. And this will keep happening on a larger and larger scale every time they release new characters like Kokomi and Zhongli, characters whose entire role is to ease the difficulty that Genshin presents. Without difficulty being presented, there's no need for these characters, no matter how many or how few of them there are. And that's kind of what I'm getting at this whole video. The more support characters they release, the more drastically MihoYo will have to shift the game to accommodate them. Unless they don't want money, in which case disregard the whole video. Anyways, thanks for coming to my TED Talk. If you want to keep up with Genshin news, guides, and other content from me, feel free to subscribe and/or join my Discord server with the link below. Now I'm gonna go last second farm for Kokomi so I can beat the new Spiral Abyss, because it is busted.